Okay, the part of this one has been kept secret for obvious purposes. Paul Mary and the other officers have come up with a new asteroid satellite discovery award.
Test.
And this is Paul Mary's presentation.
This one. You can't hear me. Okay, this is the. Well, I'm not on the X. This is the new Satellite Discovery Award. This is Paul Maley's presentation, and Paul is not here. The name of this award is the he keeps changing this every day, MADASO Award, meaning the Merlin Award for Discovery of an Asteroidal Satellite by Occultation. An overview of this before we go into the slides. The W.J. Merlin Award for Discovery of an Asteroid Moon by Occultation is to be presented to the first amateur occultation observer who is credited with the discovery of a natural satellite of a minor planet. The award is named in honor of W.J. Merlin, a discoverer of a number of binary asteroids through the use of adaptive optic imaging techniques. The award is partly in recognition of his efforts to foster collaboration between amateur occultation observers and professional asteroid observers. There are several steps necessary to qualify for the award consideration as outlined below. The award is to present, not just yet. Go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. And go to the next slide. Let me read this first. The award is to be presented jointly to the discoverer and to the institution of the individual or team that first confirms this discovery by an independent method. This award will be a one-time award with a monetary prize of $3,000. The occultation of discoverers or discoverer will receive the monetary award. The occultation discoverers and the confirming institution will each receive a handsome certificate. The purpose of the award is to highlight the role of the International Occultation Timing Association and its occultation methods in furthering our understanding of asteroids and asteroid binaries. It seeks to encourage amateur occultation work and to promote further collaboration and interaction between the professional and amateur astronomical communities. Now, the guidelines of this award may be modified from time to time by the Iota board with concurrence of those contributing to the prize funds as new observational techniques, methods of validation, or needs of altering the qualification criteria arise. So as we can see, the purpose of this is to draw attention to Iota methods, specifically multi-station deployments where one observer deploys, say, 3 or more stations. The purpose of the award, again, is to recognize the first confirmed amateur discovery of an asteroid satellite by occultation. Now, last year, you guys published in Planetary Science, Steve Conard, a paper on the, I forget the name of the asteroid, I can't, now, just because it's published doesn't mean it's confirmed. So currently, at the current time, that one does not qualify at the current time. If it's confirmed, it's retroactive. Okay. Again, the Asteroid Award is to recognize the contributions of Bill Merlin of the Southwest Research Institute in the field of asteroid satellite discovery, and it's a one-time monetary prize, similar to prizes offered in prior centuries for other types of discoveries. Next slide. As I said earlier, the award is a $3,000 cash award. The money came from as follows: $1,000 contributed by Paul Maley, $1,000 contributed by R. Nugent, and $1,000 anonymous contribution. And that's why the bank account balance went up, that Chad couldn't mention. And a certificate will be awarded also to the confirming organization and or individual. It could be more than one person. Okay, next slide. In order to qualify for this award, it's for current Iota members worldwide only, and you must be a member of Iota for 2 years prior to making the discovery. This prevents people from joining like next month and making a discovery that same month using like $1 million telescope or something. Okay, professional astronomers are ineligible, and I think that's obvious because they've got the equipment and the funds and the money to see huge things we can't see with our small stuff. The discovery and confirmation can be retroactive. So you may have already made a discovery, as in the case of Steve Conard, it's possible. And Roger Venable made something about 10 years ago with, you remember the name of it, David? Yeah. Yeah. So that's possible if it can be confirmed. And the discovery must be made accomplished using Iota methodology through occultation timing only. Methodology number 1, for more fixed or mobile time inserted GPS video sites. Okay, next slide. The actual draft guidelines will be detailed steps of the award process to be posted online later. And when Paul gets back from his trip, he'll post something online on webpage. Okay, the validation stage. This is very critical. The occultation candidates that can be observed are NEOs, MBAs, main belt asteroids, dwarf planets are permitted. Ring detections are not permitted. David. Well, I mean, I think he changed it. He had, Paul's been changing this presentation about every day for the past 10 days, so I think it was in there, but he's been emailing these things every day, and I go, come on, Paul. I think the problem is he's in Madrid, and he had a problem with a Spanish computer. He couldn't figure it out, so anyway. Yeah, as you know, he gets around. Electronically recorded data must be submitted to Iota first. In other words, we don't want the report to go public first. Just submit it to the Iota review board first. We'll take a look at it. Initial review will be conducted by Iota officers. Iota and the discoverers will develop a report for the International Astronomical Union, IAU, and if the report holds up, confirmation is required by an independent party with independent techniques, and a preliminary orbit must be defined. Next slide. Yes.
So in the case of the satellite asteroid, of an asteroid, and it's never been observed but once, how do you get that separate verification? Please repeat the question.
Okay, the question is, if you've observed a satellite once, how do you get the confirmation? Well, that's going to be the next slide. Very good question. The confirmation of a satellite that's been observed just one time will be by other independent teams and methods such as radar, adaptive optics, satellite observations, light curves, and so on. There's other techniques that have yet maybe to be discovered. The validation panel will establish, after initial Iota review, continues through the entire process. In other words, you want to make absolutely sure you've got a hit and something real. As my major professor used to say, it's perfectly okay to make mistakes, but not to publish them. Icorn? Yeah. Yeah, most likely. It's possible the confirmation could be at the same event. Could be like two video stations separated by distances, and so it may not have been a bird or an eagle. It could have been a real satellite. Okay. Once we have a validation, we will submit the recommendation to the IAU, and the Iota will confer the award after the IAU validation. Next slide. Now, sometimes the IAU makes provisional designations, and this is not considered a valid confirmation since there are objects with such a designation that actually don't exist. So that's possible. So just because you publish it or have IAU provisionally designate something doesn't mean it's real. Provisional designation is just a placeholder only, just to hold the name and a spot, reserve a spot. Okay, next slide. The distribution of the award, the monetary portion goes to the discoverers, and if there's more than one discoverer, the money is evenly divided. Certificates to all others in the process, and the final award determination will be decided by Iota after initial panel recommendation and concurrence. So there's quite a bit of steps we're going to go through to make absolutely sure we have a real satellite. Okay, next slide. Got this yesterday from Paul. On July 11th, 2014, the IAU finally agreed on their participation in the award process. We've been working on them for a couple of weeks, so finally came through. Okay, next slide. Okay, the recommendation Paul has is that the entire award in the process will be advertised on the Iota webpage and other media as we officers see fit. And Paul has a temporary web page with the award, which will go live once any open items have been resolved. There's still a couple of open items in this thing we haven't actually pinned down, so there's a couple of loose ends here. And once that's figured out, he'll have the web page open and available. And next slide. Any discussion on this matter? Any questions? David? The question is, can others donate more money to the award to increase it? Well, there's no rule that says you can't. I would say yes. I know you've got a lot of money laying around, so of course. Well, my check's already cleared, so any other discussion or items or any ideas? Terry? How many satellites are currently being considered is the question. Right now, none. We just formed this award the last couple of weeks, so if you think you've got a satellite, send it in. Send it in. No. Nobody's applied. Filled out the application. Yes. Yeah. This is brand new. Just been announced. In fact, it's not even on the schedule until now.
Also, okay, so the David Dunham, so there have been several past claims of occultations by satellites of asteroids, and of course the professional community has been reacting pretty negatively to our first announcements about these things. So this is part of the reason why we want to be very careful, with this. For instance, there was there's actually been a confirmed asteroid occultation observation already, but it was done visually, and this award says it has to be electronic. We have to have a recorded image, whereas in the past it was just by eyeball, and then you don't know if the guy was blinking or what, but in 1980 there were two observers who in California who saw an occultation of an 8th magnitude star by the asteroid Cleopatra, but they were outside the path. The actual occultation path went over Washington State and Alberta and British Columbia, and there were about 10 observers who observed the occultation. There were a couple of photoelectric observations up there, so there were these two positives that were 400 kilometers away from the asteroid in the sky plane. But these observers, the idea, there had been previous observations of satellites, and so we had recommended people to observe from separate sites to try to get confirmation. So they did that. There was actually Lick Observatory was not very far from them, and they got a photoelectric record which showed nothing. But of course, the satellite was probably too small to reach them, the observatory. So there was a little bit of controversy at the time, and of course the professional astronomers dismissed it because it was just a visual observation. But we thought it was pretty good. Right. Then 30 years later, the two satellites of Cleopatra were found by adaptive optics, and they checked the orbit and checked the sky plane back in 1980, and sure enough, they coincided. But it was an electronic observation, and so unfortunately, we've lost contact with one of those two observers. But Jerry Ratley, who lives in Arizona now, is the other, is one of them. We're still in touch with. Anyway, that's a brief history. People are more accepting now of occultation observations a little bit more than they were, and they really like, of course, video more than where you can show things. And so, of course, in our publication of Steve Conard's observation, there are a lot of things. It couldn't have been a bird because the bird would have been seen in the video. There was twilight and anything flying over would have been illuminated to some extent, and he was using a 14-inch scope, so it wasn't a matter of something really faint. It was a very strong signal. So anyway.
Jeff.
Is that retroactive as well with the discovery, or and I know I don't know
The question, yeah, that's the question is.
It's a little bit difficult for me to go back and check if somebody was a member, say, in 2005.
I think we have a couple of people here that have been around a while. We can maybe verify that. The question is, the membership, is it a requirement that you be a member going back? Right, right.
I'm just saying, I'm concerned about
That's one of the issues we've been going back and, yeah, that's one of the issues we've been going back and forth on for a while. Paul says 2 years. I agreed with him. Then he changed it to just former or current members only. David?
That's kind of why the graph is kind of spotty, because I would say archive versions of the membership database at random times. And I should make a definite job at every issue. I should say the archive back time. I'm just saying this is my opinion.
And your records go back to 2005, 2006?
Not that far back. Since I took over, I don't have a graph database on the hard drive, but I believe in the graph that I have in my presentation, that first graph, that column, that's the first instance that I have data.
Okay. Okay.
It's kind of a weird thing that the way our database is set up, every time I make a change, it saves it. It overwrites whatever file.
Right. Right.
Of it that I need to save backups of that file of a certain. I had a file I put down 2014 one. Boom. Go back and see who those numbers. Okay.
Okay. Good point. Good point.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah.
That'll only take a weekend to enter into your computer, right?
I should mention also, we do have records from the predictions that we send out annually. We have an annual membership list. We've always got those members that those go back decent times. Somehow early.
You might have to.
Yeah. Yeah, the main thing is with this award, there's no time limit, and it covers Iota members worldwide. So,
It should cover, I guess, members section, Iota.
yeah, worldwide. Yeah. Europe, Australia, Japan. Yeah, worldwide. Now, there's still, as you can see, there's still a few bugs to be worked out with this, and that's going to be between the rest of us officers and Paul to work out, and we'll hammer it out maybe. Yeah, Steve? Yeah, well, light curve was obtained electronically. Right?
What I'm saying is somebody out there is claiming that whatever asteroid is bubble data and light curve analysis, and then we observe it, we find this out.
I think that would qualify, yeah.
But even though we're sort of confirming those.
Exactly. Well, they have to be Iota members.
No.
Sounds like an airplane commercial. You got all these restrictions. Must be an occultation. Yeah. The main idea of the award has to be from the occultation technique. So a light curve is really not really an occultation technique. Yeah. True, but the guidelines and eligibility for this award is that it be done by the occultation technique. Discovery, yeah. But that's a good point. A very good. Again, Paul, if you're out there, I hope you got that. Yeah, I got that one too. Yeah. Okay. Any other items about this award and discussion? Any ideas? I'll just pass them around. You might think of something later on tonight. We can talk about it at the barbecue. So, and that's it for the satellite award. It sounds like a good deal.